I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
I rise today to offer an amendment to H.R. 1585, the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. This amendment modestly modifies the bill to ensure that the materials distributed to victims and survivors are available in commonly encountered languages. There are approximately 26 million Americans whose primary language is not English. 1 in 5 American families speak another language at home. In my home state of New York, that number is 1 in 3. Languages spoken throughout the country include Spanish, Chinese, Tagalog, Vietnamese, and French, just to name a few. H.R. 1585 provides that the Secretary of Labor may disseminate information on the resources and rights available to survivors of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. It is important that all survivors and all victims, regardless of the language they primarily speak or read, have access to such critical information. This amendment will not adversely impact federal spending. In fact, several agencies, including the Department of Labor, have similar obligations to provide materials and notices in commonly encountered languages, and there is guidance and resources available on how to do so consistent with existing provisions in other areas of law. Let me also briefly express my support for this important and significant legislation. Since the Violence Against Women's Act was first enacted 30 years ago, it has helped to address the crisis of domestic and sexual violence through vital grant programs and improved law enforcement response to sexual crimes. It has also elevated an important national conversation about this issue, drawing attention to its prevalence, reducing stigma, and encouraging survivors to get support. I want to thank the distinguished chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler, for his tremendous leadership, as well as my friend, Congresswoman Karen Bass, for her in ushering forward H.R. 1585. I'm proud today that we are doing our part in the United States House of Representatives to reauthorize the Violence Against Women's Act and urge all of my colleagues to support this amendment and the underlying bill. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek to be recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I claim the time in opposition, although I'm not opposed to the amendment.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate my friend from New York. I have no problem with his amendment. It's already current existing order instituted by President Clinton, and it's also under DOJ guidance. This is currently happening, and I think his continuation to put it in this bill would have no problem with. And with that, I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from New York.
I thank the distinguished gentleman from Georgia, my colleague, the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee, for his support. This is a nation of immigrants. We're a gorgeous mosaic of people from all across the world. Out of many, we are one. That's what makes America such a phenomenal country. And we just want to make sure that with respect to this issue of sexual and domestic violence, every American who's a victim has an opportunity to get access to the resources that will be put into law. I thank my colleagues for their support, and I yield back the balance of my time.